Hey everyone, Mark Hessman here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Doing our weekly Wednesday update here on this February 28th. As always, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Mark Hessman. You can follow me on all social media channels at Mark Hessman. That's Twitter/X, Instagram, MarkHespen. And as always, tune in the show every Saturday morning, live and local on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the free KHMO app. Follow the show on Facebook. Just search On the Mark KHMO. Today's Wednesday midweek video update is going to be something I've had on the docket to talk about for the past couple weeks, but there was other pressing matters. And I was trying to find a way to work it onto my show. And now all of a sudden I'm looking at the calendar and it's the end of February. And I don't want this news to go cold. So I'm going to jump right into it. The College Football Playoff announced their official 12-team playoff ranking kind of rules, how it's officially going to work. Now, we've known how it's going to work for a while, but we officially have how the seedings is going to happen. And I think when I read through this, my immediate response was, this is a disaster for Notre Dame. And it is a gigantic win for Clemson and the other teams in the ACC. So let's lay it on out here. The College Football Playoff in the 12-team era will have the number one seeds, 4 of them, and they all get a bye through the first round of the playoffs, which means 5 will play 12, 6 will play 11, 7 will play 10, 8 will play 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, bye week. Now, in order to earn one of those byes, to be one of the number one seeds, what do you have to do 1 through 4? Well, you're going to have to be the highest ranked conference champions. What does that mean? That means you have to win your conference first and foremost to get one of those. So this past year, for example, that would have been Washington, Texas, Michigan, Alabama. So winning the conference is going to really matter. Those conference championship games, making it through your conference championship unscathed, and getting the conference championship W secures that bye. That's an automatic win. It's a win. It's a college football playoff win. You've made it already into the second round. That is extremely, extremely valuable. And why do I think that's good for Clemson? Well, the Pac-12 is no more. So you really only have a Power 4 now: Big 10, SEC, Big 12, ACC. It's a win for Clemson. I use them because they're the big boy in the ACC over the last couple of years. But it's every ACC team, a team like Florida State. If you are the highest ranked conference championship winner, you're going to get one of these 4. And so winning your conference every single year, if you're one of those ACC teams, you can say to yourself, listen, we don't have to go undefeated. We just got to make sure we put ourselves in a spot to win our conference, and we're set. We're already in the second round of the college football playoffs. That's huge. It's a giant advantage for teams, in the conferences that aren't the SEC and the Big Ten. The SEC and the Big Ten are exploding with huge brands and big names. And if you're now an ACC or a Big 12, you just got to keep hovering along, win your conference, get one of those byes, and you're set. You're already into the second round. Now, why is this, in my opinion, extremely detrimental to Notre Dame? Well, Notre Dame is a non-conference school. They're not in a conference. So Notre Dame will never get a first-round bye. Never, as long as they're not in a conference. I think this will push Notre Dame to join the Big Ten sooner rather than later. Having this is just a giant disadvantage. Now, I know people will argue, well, wait a minute. It is a nice win for the teams 5, 6, 7, and 8 because they are the only ones that will get a home playoff football game. Seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4, they won't get home playoff games. Those games will then be on the New Year's Six Bowls and so on and so forth. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 this year would have been, I'm looking at the screen behind you here, Florida State, Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State. They all would have played home games against Penn State, Ole Miss, Mizzou, and Liberty. Which is great. Yeah, it's great to have a home game. It's great for the revenue. It's fun. It'll be really exciting. But for Notre Dame fans to sit there and say, what if you're the number one team in college football all year long? What if you're undefeated and you're, 12-0, 13-0, and then you immediately drop to the number 5 seed? You have to play an extra game. This year it would have been them versus, like a Liberty, an upstart school that has nothing to lose, could be a MAC school, could be a Mountain West school, one of these schools that have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain, because not only are they trying to upset 12v5, but they're trying to upset, in Notre Dame's case, would be the number one team in the country, or even if Notre Dame was 2, 3, or 4. So there's a huge disadvantage for Notre Dame football and the other independents. You got to join a conference at this point in time in this way it being set up. As long as the top 4 seeds are going to be conference champions who have the highest ranking, they're in some big trouble. What I like about this overall, the expansion, is that you're really allowing teams that second chance, right? If Michigan, for example, would have lost to Ohio State, they lose the conference title game, and now they're all of a sudden out, even though they're a 1 loss, they're still going to have a chance to then host a playoff game. They could end up in the rankings being number 2 or number 3, maybe as a 1-loss team. And yes, it stinks to go from 1 or 2 in the rankings to then 5 when the playoff starts, but that's what happens when you lose a game. You put the pressure on yourself to have to win more games. If you go undefeated, you win your conference, you don't got to worry about it. You're getting a bye week. You're already into the second round. If you slip up and you don't win your conference championship, even as a 1-loss team, you're going to be rewarded with a home game, but you're still going to have to play that extra game. So it's going to make it really, really fascinating. This is bad news for Notre Dame. You got to join a conference. I think Notre Dame should join the Big Ten ASAP. Get themselves into the Big Ten. Give themselves a chance to go at this. And if you're an ACC school, no more thinking about needing to join the SEC. Why? What's the benefit for you joining the SEC? You can win the ACC, go undefeated in the easier conference, and get the bye. And if you're the number 1 team, if you're a Clemson or a Florida State, and you go undefeated and you're healthy, right? Unlike Florida State with their quarterback situation, you kind of, you have good style points, right? Because your starters are healthy and you're winning games. I don't care that you're blowing out North Carolina and Wake Forest to get to the number 1. You're going to be an undefeated, Clemson team, number 1. You're going to get the bye, and then you're going to play the lowest ranked of remaining seed left. I mean, it's a huge, huge advantage for the ACC and the Big 12 because they don't have to go through the slog that is the Big 10 and the SEC, where it's much harder games. Now, it is a disadvantage for Big 12 and ACC non-winners. If you're a non-winner of the Big 12 or ACC, it's going to be harder for you to jump some 2-loss Big 10 schools, 2-loss SEC schools that just have better resumes and may look better on paper and with the eyeball test. You could be a 1 or a 2-loss team, but you're a North Carolina. You lost really bad at Clemson, and then you got blown out against Ole Miss in your one big non-conference game. All of a sudden, I'm going to say, you know what, I don't mind leaving them out, but I'm not going to leave out a 2-loss Ohio State team just because their only loss was at Michigan and then also, at Georgia or home against Georgia because they're playing a big non-conference schedule. Advantage for the mid-tier Big Ten teams and mid-tier SEC teams. Huge advantage for the top end of the ACC and the Big 12, and a massive disadvantage for Notre Dame and the independents. Well, personally, what I'd like to see also is there being at least 1 or 2 automatic bids for the non-Power 5. Take the top-ranked 2 non-Power 5 conference championships winners and maybe give them a chance. I like the idea that Liberty makes it in last year, but if you win the MAC, if you win the WAC, if you win the Sun Belt or something like that, you're not only going to have to win it, you're going to have to win it and be undefeated and to have a real chance to make this 12-team playoff. And so that's still a bummer. But as we saw with Liberty, to get blown out by Oregon this year, they didn't make a good case of themselves to be in it last year anyways. Notre Dame, will they join the Big Ten? I think they should sooner rather than later. A 2-loss Notre Dame team that goes through the Big Ten schedule with maybe wins over a USC, win over Penn State, close loss at home against Michigan, really close loss on the road against Ohio State, but maybe a controversial call. That team could make the playoffs still as a 10, 11, 12 seed. Notre Dame as a 2-loss team non-conference is definitely not making the top 10, the playoff in this scenario. Tune in every Saturday morning on the Mark, News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Follow me on all social media at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen. Follow the show on the Mark, News Talk 1070 KHMO, just on Facebook.